All right, so minimize this. Before I got into the topic of revisions, revisions is very closely related to the way we manage sheets and prepare deliverables in a project schedule and a project delivery scheme. And one thing you might be interested in is to understand how to manage documentation inside the project browser. And a lot of, I'm going to show you now, I'm going to show you first how to organize the project browser and how to better organize your sheets in a way that it's structured the way you want it to see. And so, sorry. I'm going to open the project browser. I'll actually stack it here, put it here in front of you, all of you. The out-of-the-box template in Revit organizes views and sheets by family type, and then everything that is a view is typically organized by alphabetically. So the order in which the views stack on every branch follow alphanumerical order in an ascendant order. So numbers go first, and then it goes alphanumerical all the way to the end. That's the default behavior. There are ways in which you can create custom view families to further divide the organization of your details. I think some of you know how to do that, so I'm not gonna go more into detail. But I want to focus on the sheets. Like this project has 2 sheets, and then the order in which these sheets get organized in the project browser, it's by alphabetically, right? So numbers go first, and then it goes by the letters of the alphabet. And sometimes you may want to organize your sheets based on a different order. For example, you may want to start your cover sheets. Your cover sheet may be called 00. Then you may start with the G series, and then followed by the C series, followed by the L series, and then followed by the A series. And if we just follow the out-of-the-box configuration, then these sheets are going to be out of order. And so we have the ability in Revit to reorganize or customize the arrangement of the information in the project browser based on custom parameters. And so a lot of this is driven by project standards. And so most of you probably already have this sorted out by your template, and you don't have to spend anything. If you already have these organized and standardized as a project standard, and maybe Lindsay, you can help me here if this is something your office does as far as customizing the
we try to keep it constant between all the different users. So yeah, we did set up a browser organization, but people are free to tweak it a little bit where they want to, if they know.
Okay, so I'll show you how to do those little tweaks, and a lot had to do in understanding how to create sheet parameters, and then how to reorganize the project browser versions based on those parameters. So let's create sheets with different nomenclature, and this is going to be just an empty sheet, just so we have a placeholder here. To create a new sheet, you just go into the Manage tab, and then, go to the View tab, View tab, and then hit the Sheet tool under the sheet composition. And When you create a new sheet, you have to pick a title block. You can pick the one that's there, the 34 by 44. And when you create a new sheet, it automatically follow the order from the last sheet created. It rename it it created a sheet called A4. I assume that whoever created this template did create a sheet A3 and then delete it, and that's why now Revit is remembering that the next item in the list is A4. But I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call this G1 general sheet, and we can call this general notes. And then we can create another one. Also, the same title block, 34 by 44. Hit OK. This one is going to be called let's pretend this is a civil project. So in the project browser, select the new sheet we created. Again, view tab, sheet, view tab, sheet. And right click on the sheet that we just created, rename it. I'm going to call it C1, and the name will be a site plan. All right, so all these sheets are organized alphabetically out of the box. But we can utilize some project parameters in order to stack them in a way that aligns with the sheet order in the title block and so the project organization, you can access it via the right click. So if you click at the very top branch of the project browser, you're going to find the project browser organization. It's a right-click operation at the top of the view, and this is going to disclose different schemes that can be applied to the project browser. I'm not sure you've ever seen this before. You can have a scheme that organizes the views, meaning they're organizing everything under the branch of views. And you have another one that is it's under the sheet tab. This is a scheme that organizes the sheets in the project browser. You notice that this template has already some predefined schemes. An example is issue date. So if you select issue date and hit OK, so now notice that now the sheets now are organized by the date inside the title block. Right, is actually the issue date of every sheet parameter, and so there is an issue date associated with each of these, and then you can see that the date is followed by the title and then the sheet number and name. Let's do another example out of the box. If you right click the browser organization, go to the sheets tab, and then if you want to organize this by drawn by, then the first parameter is going to be the author initials. Right now the author parameter is empty, and so I don't have any author defined for the organization, but you could technically organize the sheet by this parameter. Again, I'm going to right click on the sheets and hit browser organization. Go back to all, which display an alphabetical order. You create custom schemas for the sheet organization by hitting the new button here. And let's call it discipline. And so this is a way to organize the sheets. To first filter the sheets and the views, meaning that instead of showing you all the sheets that are existing in the project, you can actually create a specific display of sheets based on a parameter value. Everything you see here are parameters from the sheet category. So approved by, checked by, current revision. All of these are sheet parameters, and you can customize the order of the sheets based on the value of one of these parameter values. But if I want to like organize it by discipline, there's going to be like an order parameter that indicates which discipline goes first, which discipline goes second, and which discipline goes third. And so I don't have that parameter, and therefore I have to create a custom parameter that I can utilize to organize the sheet. And so the end goal is, I'm going to hit OK here, go back to all and hit OK. The end goal is that, I don't know why I keep doing this. So the end goal is that your G sheet goes first, your civil sheet goes second, and your A sheet goes third. And so I need a parameter that assign a numerical order to all the different sheets, and that I can utilize as a parameter to sort the sheets in that order. That's one example. Sometimes maybe you want to organize the sheets by package. Say, for example, if you have contracted to deliver 3 packages, a shell and core package, or an interior package, or a phase 1 package, and you can also organize the sheets by those parameters, as long as they are part of the sheet or revision category, then they can be listed here as well. You can also organize it in different ways. So this is all sheet documentation, and there's no like perfect way of organizing it. You do it maybe on a project by project basis based on the project needs or the project configuration or the deliverables. But let's try to illustrate an example in which you want to organize these sheets by discipline. So let me stack this on a side here. I need to start by defining a new custom parameter. And so to create a new parameter that is associated with sheets, you go into the Manage tab and then go to Project Parameters. This guy. Oh, this is shared parameter. Project parameters. Here it is. So a project parameters is a way to add a custom information and associate it with a category in Revit. One of the new things in Revit 2023 is the ability to search parameters. Sometimes this list is very, very long. In particular, those who like to customize their documentation in a very specific way. So you can actually narrow, you can search for a specific parameter. You know, if you type stop, then your list becomes smaller. You can also create predefined filters that narrow your project parameters by type. Like you can actually isolate parameters that are project parameters and parameters that are shared parameters. So based on this information, this project has no shared parameters. Like this is a new in Revit 2023. The ability to sort parameters by type. So a project parameter is a parameter that exists only in the context of a project. A project parameter can be scheduled, but cannot be tagged. And a shared parameter is it's a parameter that is brought into Revit from a parameter definition that allows a parameter value to be scheduled and to be tagged. So when your project has the need to be scheduled and tagged in the documentation, it's a good idea to create a shared parameter. And the shared parameter relies or extract the definitions based on a resource file. That file is a TXT definition that act as a dictionary of company standard parameters that can be utilized consistently between different projects, and that could be utilized by users to schedule information in a very consistent manner between different projects. And so that's primarily the difference between a project parameter and a shared parameter. For the demonstration of these exercise, I'm going to create a project parameter on the fly. So I'm going to show all the parameters here. And to create a new parameter, another thing that is new is to sort parameters, whether they are type or instance. This is Revit 101, you know the difference. Type parameter, instance parameters are specific to an object. Type parameters are parameters that are common to all the elements of the type. And you can also sort a very specific format of parameter. So these are the different units that a cell in a parameter can report. So you can sort it by that. So these are all the different parameters and value types that you can narrow your selection. So for now, in this project, there is a total of 8 parameters, but I'm going to create a new one here, new parameter. And this is a project parameter. I'm going to call it sheet order. Sheet order is going to be a numerical value that is assigned to a sheet to sort them by discipline. So the front end general sheets will have a sheet order 0. The civil will have sheet order 2, and architecture is going to have sheet order 3. So because they are reporting numbers, I'm going to choose the type parameter as integer. Integer doesn't display any digits. This will be a whole number. It's going to be placed under the category of others. That's fine. And then I'm going to apply it to the category of sheets. So every sheet is going to have a new parameter called integer. Sheet order, sorry, and it will be an integer value. The value is going to change from sheet to sheet. That's why it has to be an instance parameter. And then you hit OK. And then hit OK. And now in the properties of a sheet, under the other section of parameters, now you have a parameter called sheet order. You all with me? You want me to repeat any instruction? Close this.
Yes, please. I missed how do you got to make the new order? What did you click on?
This
Oh,
new
sheet
parameter.
order. Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So you go to the Manage tab,
Mhm.
Project Parameters. It's an icon under the Settings panel. It's like a little hand with a calculator. I'm sorry, that's the share parameter. It's the one above this.
Okay.
It's like a sheet with a triangle. And this is the project parameter dialog box. You hit create a new parameter. There's
Oh,
the
got
icon,
it over there. Mhm.
the icon next to the pencil. It's a project parameter. The name is sheet order. And then you can associate it with the category of sheets and make sure that the type parameter is an integer and it's an instance parameter under others.
Mhm.
And wait, after you click
Oh.
OK, the parameter is going to appear at the bottom of the sheet properties. So you just hit OK here, hit OK to the other one, and then you should see the sheet order here. And so now that I have that, this is, I can go into each of the sheets and give it a sheet order. For example, general notes, that's order number 1. I'm just going to put it 1 here. Is a G series. Then you go to even on the project browser, you can. I'm going to snap the properties out. Give me a second. Snap this here. Click on the properties. I'm going to snap it out and snap it here. Cool. All right. So I have my sheets, and all I need to do is populate it with a sheet order. So general notes, it's sheet order number 1. The site plan, it's order number 2. And then A1 and A2, which are architectural sheets, this is order number 3. So I just put the digit 3 under each of the sheets. Notice that I don't have to open the sheet. You can just click on the sheet in the project browser, and it will display the properties of the sheet you have selected on it. So no need to double click it. Right now, my active view is the general notes, but by just the virtue of selecting the sheet in the browser, I can have access to the sheet properties. And so
I believe you can select multiple sheets too, and if they share a parameter, you could do bunches of them at a time.
excellent tip. You can, if you want to apply the same value to all the architectural, you can just do Control Select and then apply the order there. Good call. All right, so my parameter is there, and now I need to build a new browser organization that is based on the sheet order. So right-click on the Sheets branch in the project browser, click the browser organization. Again, click on the Sheets branch in the project browser. Right-click and open the browser organization. I'm going to create a new schema. And this schema, I'm going to call it sheet order. And so I don't want to filter all the sheets. All the sheets should be there, but I want to group it in a different way. So the sheets need to be grouped first. The first tier of information is the sheet order. And you can see that that project parameter appears now as an option in this drop-down list. And then I'm going to group it by the sheet number. And that's it. Actually, because it's already sorted by sheet number, here at the bottom, I probably don't need to put this here. So I'm going to put it as none here. And it's already sorted by, this is how to group. This is group, think of group as branches. How many branches I need? I need the branches that display the sheet order. And then within that branch, how are the sheets going to be sorted? And then you say by the sheet number, meaning by the number of the sheet, either in an ascending or descending order. And then you hit OK here. Make that your active schema. Just click the checkbox next to the sheet order. Then hit OK. And I notice now my sheets have now a different order. And you have the G's at the beginning, the C's that are following. The order number 3 is the architectural. And then if you later have the interiors, for example, that's order number 4, etc. So I use a parameter called sheet order that has numbers. You might as well, I might as well use a text parameter that is more descriptive. Like I could say 1 are general sheets, 2 stable sheets, 3 architectural sheets. And then because they sort alphabetically, it will be visually more descriptive for the users where to put the sheets. Now, the drawback of this is that every time you create a sheet, let's create a sheet. You go to the View tab, and then you create a new sheet with the same title block. That sheet is always going to go into a question mark value because the parameter hasn't been defined yet. And so the user needs to be cognizant that every time a sheet is created, if you want to utilize this sheet order properly, you have to populate the sheet order as needed. So this is order number 2, and it will fall in the right place. Now there are sheet numberings that are very complex. You know, sometimes you have a 1.200 series or a 2.300 series, and they may not stack neatly under each of the sub branch. So you may have multiple tiers of information. So you can create a custom parameter that is for the main branch, let's say discipline. And then under the discipline, you have another one that is called sheet subtype or sheet sub number. And then when you build your customized browser organization, then you can keep adding more groups, more ways of organizing your sheets based on a combination of 2 different parameters. This is sometimes typical for very large projects. So, does this make sense? Any questions?
Well, I just wanted to highlight that what we just looked at here is 2023, right?
Correct.
So when you go back to the office and you're working in an older version of Revit, which a lot of people are, you won't be able to do what we just saw.
The only difference is when you create a parameter. This project organization has been around for a long time, so that's going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, I should 90% of what you just did.
Yeah, so it's just this portion here, this panel here, all of this here. This is 2023 only, but this is only ways to sort the information in this list. But I didn't use it. I just show it. But for your
being able to organize the browser by sub levels like sheets Isn't that new in 2023? You know, where you said Sheets, it has its own browser organization just for Sheets. Isn't that new?
No,
Oh,
that's been forever.
oh,
Yep.
okay,
Yeah, you can, when you right click this browser organization, you can organize by the views or the sheets by a customized schema. And these things have been around for a long time.
okay, but
I think this is new, the schedules. Yeah,
Right.
this is new. The schedules is a new in 2023 as well. Schedules right now follow only alphabetical order. If you have several dozens or of schedules and you want to sort it in a very specific way, you can do the same. You can create a new parameter associated with a new schema associated with some multi-category value, and then that is going to be, it's going to create these branches for the schedule.
okay, I'm just pointing out that, you know, when we go back to 2022, just don't be surprised if it looks totally different.
Yeah. In 2022, you won't see the schedules tab and the filters in the parameters.
Yeah, filters. Yeah. One other thing I would encourage is that try to, he created a new parameter, a new project parameter. Sometimes a lot of parameters already exist. Someone before you had created it to do similar functions. So try to not populate the project file, especially true about the shared parameters, but try not to just create them just because you can. The parameter might already exist.
Yes.
Created by others. So the beauty of this is you can create parameters, but the ugliness of it is that you can create parameters.
Yeah. Always check your templates and the standards, because a lot of these procedures are already in place, and your B managers have already spent time thinking about the best way of organizing this. And there may be parameters on the sheet that do that. Maybe it has a different name, but just check your standards. I mean, another thing in the Breyer organization that I like, you probably know this already, it's how to sort views that are not placed on sheets. So in Revit 2023, this little icon or checkbox next to a view was introduced to the user interface. A view that has a blue shade means that the sheet, the view is part of a sheet. The one that is empty means that it's an unplaced view. And when we try to clean a project, reduce the file size, one of the first things we do is to look for unplaced views that have been created by the users just for during the modeling process. And so in the browser organization, under the views, you can only display the views that are not on sheets. And then if you know the product very well, you may choose to select the views that you think are not relevant for the project anymore, delete them, and that will compact the project, the model size. Just make sure that you return this back to the previous setup, because the browser organization is a setting that travels with the model synchronization. And so if a user change it, the next time a user synchronizes with Central, then it's going to inherit that property. And so use with caution and know the repercussion, because if the product browser is changed and your user doesn't know that has been changed, they might think that some of the views are lost or they are not looking at the right project. So just awareness. Be aware that this changes the central model. Okay, so we're talking about sheet organization using custom parameters. Let's talk a bit more about the revisions. And so, any question before we switch topic?
All right. I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
When you print a PDF from Revit, and is there any? We have sheet organization, using sheet order like you've shown here in our standard Office template, and when it prints to a PDF and you're printing all sheets together, it typically goes back to alphanumerical order, like you would see if it went all the A's first and then B, C, and then G's at the end. Is there any way of keeping that intact when you print a PDF?
I think, where is it? Setup. I'm trying to, is that the batch?
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
Is it the batch plot?
I'm not sure. I usually go file print and use a PDF printer, but I may have been doing this wrong. And that's why it doesn't hold itself together.
Oh, here, selector sheets, select.
Yeah, so 2023, you can actually drop down at the top or somewhere and you can say to use the print order.
Oh.
Or the sheet order. Yeah, I think that's a new 2023 thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So previous versions, it would automatically go out of order and there was no way of changing that.
As far as I know.
It's grayed out at the bottom of this dialog box. I don't know why it's grayed off.
Oh yeah.
Oh, because we have no sheets selected.
Yeah,
And it's not saved yet.
and you gotta click them.
There you go.
Yeah. Edit print. Let's see what that says.
Edit print order. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Browser organization. Here it is.
Okay.
This is new in Revit 2023.
Okay, that's good to know.
But to your point, in 2022, this wasn't an available option. But
Okay.
this was a user request, and you see you can actually go back and sort it by a different browser schema that I just show you by. Like if you do by discipline, they will do it the same way. And then you don't have to order it again manually. That was a pain in the butt in the past.
Okay, great. I'm glad that's been added to the new version. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, any other question? All right, let's talk about now revision controls and revision. So revisions are available. The revision dialog box is available to you under the Manage tab. What is this? No. Where are you, revisions? Here it is. Under the View tab, Sheet Composition, View tab, Sheet Composition, and there's an icon that looks like a little cloud. this is your sheet issues revision dialog box. And these are critical to keep documentation control after a set has been approved by an agency, and to maintain and communicate changes in the field. And so typically, once a set has left or have been approved by an agency, then that starts the sequence number or revision numbers. And we typically highlight in clouds the changes that have happened from the first issue or from the issue for permit. And so when we start revisions, the first thing we need to do is to define if we're doing it per project or per sheet. If we do it per project, each revision is going to be identified by the same number across all the sheets. Sometimes a revision applies to a sheet, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's if it applies to a sheet, then they're going to be identified by the same revision number. If you do it by sheet, and this is a different standard, it means that every sheet is going to have a different sequence number. And again, I have worked in both systems in different practices. I think sometimes a project manager have a strong opinion of what's the right thing.
So this is new in 2023, right? Because I don't think we could do this in 22.
No, it's been around.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been around for a long time too. But I want to ask you, my fellow architects here, what are your thoughts about what's the best practice? Is it per project or per sheet?
Well, I was dragged kicking and screaming into it by per project because I thought that's how Revit did.
I usually lean per project as well, so that the number of a revision is the same in every sheet. That makes it easier to sort. Otherwise, the sequence is going to be unique on every sheet. But again,
That makes sense.
yeah,
it should be per project.
per project, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to create new sequences, let's fill this out. Let's do placeholder. Let's say this was revision number 1. It was issue for permit. And we have the choice to display a sequence that is numerical or alphanumerical. Alphanumerical, like the first revision is going to be A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm not used to alphanumerical, only maybe before, when the old school architects I used to work with, he used to tell me that before construction, before issue for construction, the design, you use alphanumerical. Then after issue for permit, then you use the numerical. Correct me if I'm wrong. You probably know better than I do. But that's how I was taught.
I would think that the issued for bid would be the dividing line. That would just me.
Issue for bid will be like your revision 1 or 0.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it's all about the money.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I remember some PM saying that the first issue is 0. And so notice how Revit automatically assign a revision number. And this revision number is actually, if it's numerical, it start with 1 and it continue forward, right? But you can actually customize it. And this is new in Revit 2022, I believe, the ability to customize the number to a greater degree. So these are numbering schemas that allow you to create a different type of sequences. Sometimes revisions are not single digits. Sometimes they are connected to client requirements. You know, they have a specific, or maybe they are associated with some industry standards. Like I know, like the ISO 16980, I think, has a specific standards on how the sequences need to be created. And so let's just edit, like for example, let's edit the numerical one. Out of the box, you have two sequences, numeric and alphanumeric. And for many, many years, those was it. You can either sort by number or sort by letters. And Revit didn't give you a lot of options, but it's starting in Revit 2021, I believe. You have the ability to create custom sequences. And just let's review the numerical one. If you select the number here, again, I click the number here, and then if you click select the number and then click the pencil, this is what numeric means. You start with a digit, or you specify the number of digits and the starting number. So let's say that for some reason the project's requirement needs to have display 3 digits in the sequences. So it just changes to 3. And then you can say the start number is 0. So I'm changing the type properties of the sequence. And now every revision number in this cell is going to display 3 numbers. So I hit OK here. Hit OK. Notice how my revision sequence now changed. Now I display 3 digits and it's 0, 0, 0. Again, customized numbering can also be. I'll go back to that. Let's add additional revision sequences. So let's say my revision 0, it was issued maybe on 1st of January. 01. The date format, again, you can do the year, month and date, or whatever you want. I think I'm going to do traditional 01/02/2023. Okay, so this is issue for permit. I'm going to add a couple more. And notice how as soon as I add another one, the revision number sequence starts kicking in. Let's say this was a couple of weeks later, 01/18/2023. And then this was issue. Sorry, the first one is issue for bid. And then this is issue for construction. And then let's add another one, which will be revision sequence 02, numerical. And let's say that happens a couple of months ago. So it's 03/18/2023. And then we call this addendum 1. And then you hit apply and OK. And you can continue adding more sequences as more packages leave your office. The numbering doesn't have to be like, all the sequences don't have to be associated to a single numbering system. For example, if during construction administration, you want to add a numerical, a number standard that has to keep track of your RFIs, for example. And you want to start tracking your RFIs in a different sequence from the revision numbers, you can actually create a new customized numbering schema. So give you an example. Just click numbering here. Select the numbering sequence. And instead of editing, I'm going to duplicate it. This is the 4 icon from the left. Then I'm going to rename it. I think you can rename it. How do I rename? I could rename it. Okay, if you click the little pencil, then it will give you access to the name parameter. And I'm going to call this is the sequence for RFIs. And then for RFIs, you also want to keep, you have 3 digits. You're going to start with RFI number 1. And then you want to have a prefix that is called RFI. And so this is a new sequence. It's going to be used during construction administration in response to contractor generated RFIs. And you can actually keep track those individually in a different sequence. So I hit OK here, hit OK. And let's say after addendum 1, there was a response to an RFI that required you to issue a detail. You can actually, or a sheet, you require you to reissue a sheet. So you add a new sequence. And so instead of using the numerical one, you use the new definition that I created, which is the RFI. You say this happens, I don't know, today, 03. Oh, this is the future. Let's say 2023. And this will be RFI number 1. And you see the revision number follows, it's interrupted by changing the numbering schemas. So you can create your own numbering schema to suit your project needs. Doesn't have to be what I wrote here. Sometimes the RFI follow naming conventions that are project specific or that are part of the client requirements. So you can actually build them those there as well. You can even, if I go back to the numbering schema and I edit this, you can actually have a custom sequence if it's alphanumerical. Let me show you that. So if I create, again, this is the sheet and issues dialog box, and I create a numbering sequence, duplicate the alphanumerical, edit with the little pencil, and notice that now I have access to the custom sequence. And in here, these are your values. You can have prefixes, but here you can include or exclude certain values. For example, oak is usually mistaken by 0. And you can use a combination of numbers or letters. So your first sequence might be A1, the other one is B2, this is C3. I don't know. For some reason, you have a specific sequence. You can create your sequence, your complete sequence, anticipate the alphanumeric, the custom alphanumerical. I'm going to call this just custom. And then in the column that says numbering, you can always change this to the custom one, and it receives that custom sequence in the numbering in this field, in the custom sequence of the editing number. So why we did that? Because I think in European markets, they were requesting, in particular in London, I think they were trying to abide to ISO standards, who are very prescriptive about how the sequence need to look like in state and federal projects. And they need a very specific combination of letters that are associated with, I don't know, with some budgets. And And then this was one of the highest Revit ideas in the Revit forums. Actually, the Revit ideas is it's a forum where you vote for, customers vote on what features you want Autodesk to focus on the next releases. And those features that get the most votes are put a higher priority. So I encourage you to revise the Revit Ideas website and vote for the things you think we should focus on. And they usually will get addressed in a few years. And I have to say, sometimes we've been very slow at responding on innovation requests, but the last few years, there's been a change in philosophy in trying to, accommodate as fast as possible some of these requests. So, so this is how you can create custom sequences and revision numbers. I'm going to return the sequence 3 to numeric, and I'm going to delete the RFI because now I want to show you how to translate this into markups and clouds. Any question here about customizing the numbering sequence?
Maybe you'll get
I have
to
a
it, but
question.
Yeah.
Oh,
ladies first.
I have a question about the RFIs. What if you want to skip a numbering? Because I'd like to have the delta to be similar to the RFI number. Is that possible, or is that going to be the custom that you just mentioned?
You can add a new row and not utilize it. Actually, when you pick issued, this revision sequence becomes locked, maybe meaning that you cannot assign clouds to that revision, and it's not going to appear if this sequence is not used, and the moment you create it, you issue it. The user is not going to have an ability to associate anything to that revision. It will be tracked in the sheet and issues dialog box, but it won't be accessible to the user because once you hit issue, it basically lock everything associated with that revision, including the clouds and the tags that are associated with the clouds. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But my question is, for the RFI that you created, you did an RFI 001.
Yeah.
Now, let's just say that there's an RFI 5 that I'm going to issue a new sheet, but there wasn't any new sheet in RFI 2, 3, and 4. So can I just not have the RFI revision number chronological, or can I do that? Or does it have to be RFI 002 is RFI 5?
So I see two choices there, whether you can add additional RFIs and lock this and not use them. Not very clean, because those you might confuse a user that the project has some documentation there, right? I'm not very happy with that suggestion. Or you can create a custom, rather than using alphanumerical order to create the RFI, you customize it. So it's a variation of the custom. I'm going to duplicate the custom, edit it. Wait, it has to be alphanumerical. Duplicate alphanumerical, edit it, and then you create your custom sequence here, and then it will be, you have, as RFI comes your way, you say, I'm responding to 01, 05, and then if after that it's 8008. So you're adding the sequence as you need in
I
this,
see.
in this, and then your prefix is RFI. So you just add the numbers that you need that were directed to the architect instead of building them alphanumerical. And now that I have that alphanumerical too, and I add another one, you see how I go from 001 to 005.
Got it. That's much better.
Yeah, it's cleaner. Good question. Other question before I move into clouds?
My question had to do with the issue box and what the reason for that was for. I think you just explained it, so.
Yeah. And I'm about to go into that. So when clouds have contractual ramifications, right? And so usually we add a revision number, we prepare the clouds and the tags associated with the changes. And the minute the set is printed and delivered to the owner, we should come to this dialog box and click issued. And what that means is that it prevents user from utilizing this revision number in clouds. It prevents you from assigning new clouds to that revision sequence. And it's basically a safeguard measure to guarantee that future clouds are not overlapping with, are not created with this definition. So let's do an example. Let's start placing some clouds. I'm going to delete these RFIs. So I think we made the point across how to sort that out. And I'm going to open the floor plan, the sheet A1. And let's say that as a result of a bid question, we need to update the stairs. And so you place a cloud. So you go to the View tab. No, annotate, sorry, annotate. And then revision cloud is right here. When you place a revision cloud, the instance property of the cloud, you see it here, will list the revisions available to you. In that dialog box, remember there was a checkbox that says issued. If there's and let me show you, there are 3 sequences here available to me, right? But if I go back to the view and let's say the first one is issued already, and then I go back to level 1 and try to place annotate. Try to place a revision cloud. Notice that that says issued. Revit is going to prevent me from placing any cloud in that sequence because it's already past the date, right? And so the only thing that are available to you is sequence 2 and sequence 3. And that's a good thing. It's Revit is helping the user not to make mistakes by mixing the dates of the different clouds. And so let's do sequence 2, issue for construction. Here's the other thing, where to place the clouds. And this is you may defer with me on this criteria because a lot of things is just about standard, where to place it. Some project managers argue that the cloud need to be placed on the view rather than on the sheet. You can place a cloud on the sheet, and when you place it on top of a sheet, it's living like on paper space. It's living on top of the sheet. And the argument to placing it in the sheet is that it's easily discoverable, that is consistent. If all the users agree to place them on sheets, it's easier to find and track. I defer to that because oftentimes the views shift during the design development of a project. And if a view shift, then it loses its connection with the cloud. And in my opinion, we have less risk of calling out the right place if we put it on a sheet, on a view. But I want your opinion. What you think? Sheets, clouds on the view, or clouds on the sheets?
What you just said is extremely valid. The sheets get reorganized all the time, and if you have to remember to move the cloud with the movement of the detail or some,
Yeah.
you're gonna have mistakes. You're inducing possible mistakes. Do it with the fewest possible mistake path.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
But this is the view that's on the sheet, right? It's not just a model view or a plan view that's part of some other world, right?
That's right.
So okay,
You can access the view directly from the browser. So
right.
But I think he's driving at, is it view specific, that cloud?
oh, view specific. Yeah, it only lives
Yeah.
in this view.
It'll only be on that sheet. It won't be on another sheet that has that similar view.
No,
On this view.
only of this view.
And
What
where's
if
the,
you have,
Take another view of that stair, that cloud won't be there.
right. And where's the delta? Is that on,
The delta is a tag. So after you place the cloud,
mhm,
you tag it by category.
mhm.
And you can choose to have a leader or not a leader. I mean, some like it without a leader. And it inherit
Mhm.
the revision sequence number.
Is there any way to change the default on that? Because I hate those leaders and I have to change it every goddamn time.
I think it remembers the last setting that it was set to, doesn't it?
No, not for me anyway.
Let's see. I disable the
I know.
leader. So
I hate how they don't fit in the triangles. The numbers don't fit in the triangles.
it does remember it.
Yeah, it remembers it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
it
the
must
key
be
is that,
2023 because mine
Yeah.
does not remember either.
Yeah,
oh,
right.
really?
I don't know about that. Okay.
So the key thing is to, before you place it, disable it and then place it.
That could be it. Right.
Ah.
So before place it, like I'm gonna place it here, I'm gonna
Mhm.
enable it here, right? And now
Yeah.
it has that leader. Like, people don't like those leaders. So next time I do a tag by category, it comes with a leader, but I disable it before placing.
Oh, okay.
That's the nut. You got
That
it.
is it.
Yeah.
You gotta disable it first.
And then moving forward, it doesn't come with it.
There's a number of things in Revit that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very subtle. And the thing with this leader is that sometimes it snaps in weird location. But I think it's general practice not to have leaders. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So clouds, again, if you made a mistake and placed it in the wrong sequence, you can always select it and reassign it. So right now I can assign it to addendum 1 if that was my mistake. Obviously, if you lock it by clicking the issue, then it shouldn't be a problem. Everything that happened in the past happened in the past. And then the other thing, I don't know if this is your practice as well, that every time you issue a new set, you switch off the previous clouds. Is that true or not?
Yes.
And so if you're going to, this cloud here, it's on sequence 3, and you want to reprint this sheet and send it to the contractor, then under the sheet dialog box, you can disable the clouds. So you can say only display the tag
Mhm.
on the previous issues, and then the current cloud and tag stay where it was. And so clouds will be switched off, but the tag will remain. That's good practice. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just leave the tab and then the cloud's off.
Yeah.
And then when the next one comes, so the thing is that I think my recommendation, don't build all your sequence numbers from the very beginning. The construction is it's hard to anticipate the need of RFIs and modifications in the contract, but you add them as needed for the project. And then right after you print, issue them to lock them in place and go to the next one.
So the three choices on show were, the first one is just numbered. That means neither cloud nor tag. It's just the revision column.
Right. The choices are none.
None. Oh, it's none. Okay, never mind. That's fine.
Yeah. So if I change to none, everything is going to be switched off.
Mhm.
And usually that happens when you send this for as built,
Right.
you remove all the clouds, right? So you can just switch them off altogether and send an as-built printout without needed to delete all the clouds.
But the revision log on the title block has it, even if you turn these things off, we still see it in the title sheet, in the title block.
That's correct.
Mhm.
So in that, if we want to like clean it all together, you have to delete all of it. delete.
Well, that makes sense. Your last issue could be, as built, and you don't give it a. See, you just put that on all the sheets.
Mhm. Now, here's a thing about cloud behaviors. And so this cloud, it was placed on the view floor plan 01, and it's going to be reported in the title block where that sheet lives. And so because this view is placed on sheet A1, then it automatically receives the revision number. But I don't know, sometimes architects like to send the same sheet again, even though there's no clouds, and don't ask me why. You can force a sheet to display a revision using this revision on sheet dialog box. So one of the properties of the sheet is this edit button. And here you can force the sheet to display something, even though there are not clouds associated with that.
Well, that's a good thing, because sometimes you're issuing sets and you need to keep track of them by the number and description, but there's no real cloud changes. It's just a part of the package. So
Yeah.
that's where I use that.
Correct.
Cesar, we do this a lot where we issue, progress sets at certain milestones. And I was wondering for really big sets, whether there's a faster way to force the revision on the title block than to click every single sheet and hit, edit revision on sheet.
Well, you can do Control Shift here, and this is sheet by sheet.
Right. If you wanted to apply to like
Yeah,
all sheets in a 20 sheet set, let's say, without clicking every single one.
yeah, just select all the sheets that you want in it, and a common parameter, you can just set it once.
Yeah, I just selected 3 sheets in like Control select, and then revisions on sheet. Select all of them. And
I feel like that's usually grayed out in. Maybe I'm working in an old version where it doesn't let you do that. But that's good to know that 2023 allows you. Okay.
I think that's a 2023 thing. This
Great.
ability to control select sheets and assign revisions in a single step. It's a Revit 2023. Yeah.
Great.
It was also a highly voted feature.
It works in 2022.
Okay.
It works in 22.
I am 90% sure, 95% sure.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a
just saw.
question. How would you cloud schedules, particularly the doors, where that changes and fluctuates all the time? And so that doesn't work with either sheet or views.
A good question. I think that's a limitation because, yeah, if the schedule is fluctuating, the order of the rows might shift over time. And then what you show as a cloud in one set might be different in another set.
Yeah, we have to move the clouds down when we add stuff on our title block too, you know.
Might be a good candidate for a project parameter to be created to go along inside the schedule. You could make a column for that parameter, and then you could indicate there whether there's a.
Can I,
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that, I mean, the cloud still needs to be moved manually, right?
No, you wouldn't add clouds. You just have a revision number in the chart.
Oh, I see.
Want to force the sheet to say that the
Right.
happened, because you won't see a cloud.
Clouds on charts suck. I mean, they're terrible. Like what we've been doing is just on some of these kind of Excel sheet like things, we just color code the whole box. And that's, you know, addendum 1, all the stuff that's green is the latest revision. And Revit, you know, lets you do it, but it's not easy. But
I think now it's easier now, I think. Yeah, this is classic problem though.
So what you're saying is that you add a color to the.
yeah, we just add cell colors and then take them off when we issue the next set, where you know, just so you can zero in on which doors changed or which room finishes changed.
Well, you're doing it in Excel, aren't you, Jim?
No, it's actually a schedule in Revit, but I just used colored boxes or whatever they're called.
Okay, good.
You know, but you know, I mean, it's not hooked up to the whole revision world. It's just something you just manually do.
Yeah, and as long as the sheet-
But how do you add the color? Because I know that you can add colors just to the headers.
No, I just used
A
I
calculator.
don't remember what it's called, but it's just those colored boxes you can create, like just sort of like text. You know, it's come on, Arlene, help me. What is it?
Field region.
It's a map that we
Filled
use.
region. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, field
Yeah.
region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we try to do the whole schedule, it's either the whole row or the whole column that
Mhm.
changes. And we just want one cell.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's the same problem. If the schedule changes, the color doesn't move with it. And you got to be really vigilant.
Yeah, that's true. You got to look at the old one and then clean it up. I mean, yeah, you would have to if it got much more complicated in our project.
There's a way to make cells have color. I think it's in the formatting of the schedule itself. The format.
Yeah, I was looking for that, but then I gave up and I used this filled region.
I haven't.
I mean, you can add color to the headers, but not to a cell. I mean, only if you have like a calculated value. Like we have to get like into formulas to say that if this cell equal revision 1, apply a.
Oh, that would work.
Yeah.
How did you get to that? I didn't see.
Can you, that I don't know. I mean, you can associate a formula for a color?
Yeah, like let me see if I can do that. I haven't done it in a long time. You add a calculated parameter and call it say revision, and say if and say you have a number there, and then say the cost. How was it? I'm blanking. Oh, you know what? I don't think it's here. I think it's formatting. And appearance.
Additional format.
And so conditional format, yeah. So if the cost equals to 0, give me a background color of.
Oh, I see.
So you could make that be a parameter that flags the revision
Uh-huh,
instead of cost.
right.
And then the color it should show up in the schedule.
So they modified it for the bean counter. That's cool.
Where is the cell color? I tried getting a color to an individual cell.
Didn't work.
Oh, it colored the whole row.
Well, this on the headers, this is fine because there's a shading,
Mhm.
but
Well, at least
that only applies to the heads.
a little better.
I'm pretty sure this can be done. It's just a matter of sitting down and tweaking it for a while.
Mhm.
I could probably make it happen, but
Yeah, so I know that with a conditional formula, it can be done given a value. I know that I think what's happening is that the value, this is a numerical thing. But if I create a new parameter and I call it in sheet, in revision, and then this is, let's say, an integer. And this is 1, right? So now I do formatting.
yes.
If the in revision equals to 1,
That's going to work.
the unit is, I don't know.
I thought you had it. There's got to be a way.
Revit 24.
Oh, that's the cost equals to 0. Oh, in revision.
Oh, you have two conditions.
Yeah.
I need to clear it. If in revision equals to 1, that's it.
Got to be a way.
Oh, there you go. Wow.
Oh,
There it is. Okay,
I had it 0.
that's cool.
So that could work.
So,
It doesn't really solve the problem though, but it's getting there.
but
Well, it kind of does, though.
Yeah, because
You know, that item in the schedule has got a revision.
It's got a revision, right? But it could be like column C has a revision, but column D didn't. So, but I'm just getting
But
too picky,
You don't need to show D. D can be suppressed. It doesn't have to be on the sheet.
right?
So it would only be the color. Here it's redundant. You've got two indicators for the revision,
Mhm.
color and
yeah,
yeah, can you show the formula again? What did you do?
yeah. So I created a new parameter. As on the fields, I created a new parameter just to revision control. I call it in revision. And then in the formatting, conditional format, I say in revision equals to 1, give it a background color. But this in revision could be text. You can say, if you want to connect it to a very specific, if you want to have if you have multiple RFIs or multiple revisions, you say if this column has the value, I don't know, 003, which is revision number 3, give it that color. And then it's not going to be automatic. So I think the user has to go into the schedule and select the values that have changed from revision 2 to revision 3, and then apply this conditional formula.
But the point is that the change will move with the schedule if you add a bunch of rows and shit.
Yeah, that's the point.
It made the schedules be more graphical and easier to edit like an Excel spreadsheet is, but I guess not yet. Thought that they did. And on this one, you got to be sure that you go to the sheet that has the schedule and say that the revision has happened. Force the sheet to have the revision in the title block.
Yeah. I know that out of the box, we are limited by what you can do. But I don't know if you are familiar with BIM link.
Oh, yeah.
You heard about that?
What's it
Idea-
called? What's it called? You said?
Ideate BIM link.
Okay.
And we have it at the office. Nobody uses it, but we have it.
So this is
Now we need to pay for it.
I think we have, well, we did at one time. I don't think maybe as the years have gone by, maybe we don't have it anymore.
Yeah, now it is money.
yeah, and they have an entire workflow about revisions. You do it all in Excel, and
Yeah, and bring it back. Yeah.
and then instead of doing it one by one, you can do it all in. This was before you can do that revisions on sheet. You know, that checkbox that I just showed you that it's 2023 that you select. This was the old way of doing it. But for other stuff, the ability to, this was the limitation that you were talking about, that this revision sheet used to be one sheet at a time. Now you can do it multiple sheets at a time. And so this BIM link used to be a solution for that. But it's still a solution to create things like, I think I was showing earlier, sheets, schedules, and I think there are some offices who likes to schedule sheets like with dots. I don't know if you ever.
Yeah, we'd like to do that.
You like to do that? How do you do that now?
No, we would like to do that.
Oh, you would like to do that.
I have seen consultants doing all that on their title block. You know, how many times that plan sheet got issued, you know, you will see dots on every revision.
Yes. And then, so unfortunately, out of the box, you can't do much, but with this BIM link, you can. I'm trying to see an example. I can't seem to find it.
Could also use Dynamo, but that's pushing the envelope.
I know it's possible to do with this Ideate software. But I can send you the, if I find it. But basically, if we do out of the box, you have to create a share parameter for every revision and make it part of the sheet. And then you create your schedule of sheets, and then you sheet by sheet, and then you place the alt code for a dot, right? But the problem is the manual, and doing it one by one is tedious, take time. So there's a way to do it with Dynamo. Like you said, you create a script that reads the parameter of the issue for each of the sheets, and then you place a character for every cell that is on the schedule. Or you can use BIM link to do that more automatically. But I can't seem to find that. Okay, it's I think we're on time. Last few questions. Another thing that's new, I think, and I might be ahead of time. Now you can, when you create a cloud, you also have the ability to include descriptions and comments. And so in previous version of Revit, you couldn't schedule revision clouds. And I think now you can in Revit 2024. I thought it was in 2023. In 2024, you can schedule now revision clouds. And so the narratives that go along with a submission to a client can be with an exported Excel spreadsheet directly from Revit. And it has, you know, the clouds, the sheet, the revision, the description. And that's a typical deliverable for some projects in CA.
Well, one of the dumber things we have to do is, you know, the architect has the sheet index for everybody else's sheets. And we don't carry the mechanical and the plumbing sheets. So we have to make all these fake sheets and make, you know, for them to show up in the index.
No, you should have asked me, because you
Oh,
can get the sheets to flow through from the link.
well, they're not even on Revit. So, I mean, ideally, you just be able to open up like a fake chart and just type them in. Now, I did figure that out for something. I came up with a fake chart. I had to call it like medical equipment or something, but it worked, you know, but there should be sort of a
Yeah, there is a way. There is a way to bring it in by a text file, but yeah, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, remind me, it's been a while, but you can also have placeholder sheets. And placeholder sheets are sheets that are not created.
Oh, really? Okay, that's the ticket. Yeah.
But they are listed in the database.
Oh, that's the answer. That's the answer.
Well, you should see my workflow with it. I asked the an Excel sheet, and I give them the format, and then I have a list or not a list routine, a Dynamo routine that pulls them all in and puts them into a schedule. And puts, I haven't done it in a while, but I could show you how that worked. The beauty of that is they send you a new Excel file, and you don't have to. You just reprocess it. You just send it back in and it updates.
Okay, the last tip I have for you is never hide a cloud like manually, because it's so difficult to track. Like if you select a cloud, right click, hide in view elements, it's close to impossible to find this afterwards by another user who doesn't know that it's hidden. So it's always going to be reported in the title block, no matter what.
So to add the placeholder sheets, you have to have, as far as I know, you have to have a sheet schedule already. And then there's an option to insert a data row. And so sometimes you just gotta go and hit that button like 20 times.
That's correct. Or if you have a BIM link, you do your placeholder sheets, you from an Excel spreadsheet and then import them all in a single click.
I've also made a dummy Revit file for the consultant that has only the sheets in it. And then I link that to the project and make that flow through to the index. It's similar to placeholder sheets, but it's in
yeah, but then it doesn't pollute your whole project browser with all these fake sheets.
Yeah, it works pretty good. I think it actually, that's my preferred way of doing it, but my preferred way is only hire consultants to do Revit.
Here is to do it in batch via BIM link, and if you have BIM link, that's a feature that you may want to use. You create your spreadsheet in Excel, and then import them, and they will be listed. See, all the sheets are here already predefined for you. They will be part of the schedule, but they won't be in the project. All right. It's 7:20. It's been a good class. Hopefully this was a good review for you or informative. Next class, next week, it's all about the cloud. I'll continue doing things around revisions, in particular how to do revisions using some of the cloud tools like the markup tools on the cloud, and how to do design review in the context of team collaboration. So I'll send the invitation on tomorrow so that we're ready for Monday. Okay, guys.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
See you Monday. Have a good weekend.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.